Hello everyone. The weather is so nice here today that I thought that I would film a quick video outside and that I would talk about one of my favorite skincare companies, which is Necessaire. And I have tried almost all of the products that they sell, and so I can talk about all of those products. And then for the products that I haven't purchased, I can let you know my reasons for that. And this week they are going to be having a sale where if you buy anything on the site, you can get a free bottle of their new sunscreen. And this is a body sunscreen that I think is also possibly usable on the face. And it is usually priced at $35, and that is how much I paid for this. And I do think it's been a really good sunscreen the couple times that I've used it so far. And so I do think that that is a pretty good deal. And it's my understanding that this sale will continue on until July 5th, 2024, or until supplies run out. So the sunscreen is stated as being just non-nano zinc in terms of the active ingredients. It doesn't have any chemical sunscreens in it, and it doesn't have any sunscreen boosters in it. So I was really happy about that. And in terms of the ingredients, it includes a number of moisturizing type of ingredients. So it has capric caprylic triglyceride is the first ingredient. And then some of the other ingredients that are pretty high on the list are squalene, glycerin, shea butter, sodium hyaluronate, niacinamide, and there is no scent added to it. It does have a little bit of ginger root extract, but I am not smelling that at all, and I think it smells perfectly fine to me. There really isn't any smell at all that I can detect. It just smells pleasant. And in general, the idea with the Necessaire products is that it is supposed to be treating your body the way that you would treat your face. And I do think that for the most part, most of their products do tend to have really, really high quality ingredients, and that they actually would be usable on my face. So from my experience, I've used this a couple of days in a row now, and I used some of this on my face, and I also have used some of it on my arms and my chest. And I do think that this has worked really well for me. I haven't found it to be irritating at all, and I do tend to be very irritated really easily by many different products, especially sunscreens. So I have been really happy about that. I do think this is pretty moisturizing, so I wouldn't put a moisturizer underneath it, but I do think that it hasn't been so moisturizing for me that I haven't been able to use it. I do have pretty dry skin though. And I have been fairly active on the days that I've been using it. I have been going on my usual walks, and I've been sweating and spending time outside. And I think that it has held up pretty well for me, and it has felt pretty good on my skin. So although I think that this is usable on my face, I don't think that this is something that I would use underneath makeup. I think it is much too moisturizing for that. But I do think that for days when I'm not going to be wearing much makeup or any makeup, I think that it does have potential for that. Now, yesterday I did ask my husband to give this a try, and he actually mostly uses chemical sunscreens on both his face and his body. But he did try this one out, and when he put the sunscreen on his face, he put on about twice as much of the sunscreen as I have seen, for instance, Dr. Dre use or Angie Hot and Flashy used. So he put a whole lot of this on his face. And he did remark when he was putting it on that it felt kind of greasy, but when he rubbed it into his skin, it seemed to move into his skin pretty easily. I don't think it left a white cast on him or on me. And then after a couple hours, I asked him how the sunscreen was doing, and he just said, oh, it's fine. So he didn't seem to be complaining about it, and he seems to be okay with it as well, even though he's mostly used to the chemical kind. So in general, as sunscreens go, I think that this is actually a pretty good deal for the body or for the face. So you get 5.1 ounces of this, and in most cases, the sunscreens that I've been buying for my face have been about $35 or more, and they've been only giving me between about an ounce and 2 ounces. So this is giving you much more product, and so it is plausible to be able to use it on your body without going totally broke, and I think that it performs quite well, and that especially for me it hasn't been irritating, and I think it looked okay on my face when I have used it on my face. And on my body I think it has been perfectly fine. I think that I have no qualms about using that on my body either. I would use it on my arms, and then I tend to, even though I'm always wearing a hat, this area can get a little bit red sometimes, and so this is a product that I would definitely use on my chest. And I do intend to keep using this, and so I can report back as time goes on in terms of how it goes for me as I do use it more times. But so far so good, I think, for this one. And so I like this one enough that I went ahead and purchased an order on Necessaire myself to get another bottle of this that I can use throughout the summer. And I do think as body sunscreens go, this will probably be the one that I will reach for unless I come up with something surprising that I like better. And you do have to get $50 worth of products on Necessaire in order to get the free shipping. But I think that their other products are good enough that I didn't mind doing that. So now let's talk about some other products from Necessaire, and I will start out with the products that I have really been liking. So the first one is the Body Serum, and this is basically a hyaluronic acid type serum for your body, and what I typically will do is to mix it into a moisturizer to give it some more hydration to my skin, and especially in the winter months when my skin is feeling really dried and really kind of parched. So a hyaluronic acid serum, that is something that I use every single day on my face, usually twice a day. And what I have realized is that it seems to be very hard to get a moisturizer that is already pre-mixed, that has as much hyaluronic acid in it as I prefer. Usually they seem to be suggesting that glycerin is going to be doing that job, but I don't feel like glycerin works nearly as well for me as hyaluronic acid. And so if I mix some of this into any kind of regular moisturizer that I may be using, then I tend to feel much, much happier with it. And then in addition to the hyaluronic acid, it also has some niacinamide in it, and it has some ceramides in it. And in general, I think this is just a very nice little serum that has made a really big difference for me, especially when it's winter. Now the next product is the Neck Serum, and this is really one of the only neck serums that I have found on the market that I thought would be worth trying. Sometimes they are very, very expensive, and in other cases they have really problematic ingredients. Necessaire, by the way, this was founded by some people that used to be at Glossier, and I think that they have learned from their experience at Glossier to be really focused in terms of what kinds of products they were and were not going to offer. And so far they are really only offering products that are supposed to be used below the chin, which is an interesting strategy. I would kind of like them to move into products for the face, because I think that if they did that, that a lot of those products would probably be at least as good or much better than a lot of the other products that are on the market. But in any case, I have been really happy with this neck serum. I think that it has been a very nice texture for my neck. I think that it hasn't been irritating at all, and it does have a lot of peptides in it, and so I do have some hope that it might be firming in the longer run with regard to the signs of aging that I have on my neck and that most people that are getting older have on their neck. And in general, I think this is a very nice product, and it is 1.7 ounces of a serum type of a product with a lot of peptides in it. So I feel that for the amount of product that you are getting, this is not a bad price at all. And I have gone through more than one bottle of this, and I do really like it. And then the product from Necessaire that I actually may be the most impressed with actually is the Sex Gel, which is a lubricant. And this is really the only lubricant that I have ever used that I really like at all. I think this is a really impressive formula in terms of the ingredients that they are using, in terms of how it feels, in terms of how it smells, how it tastes. It doesn't taste bad at all, and I think that it's a very clean product, and it feels very natural to me. And the main ingredients in this are sodium hyaluronate and aloe, and it has some lactic acid in it. And overall, I think this has just been really surprisingly good to me. And it is a water-based lubricant, so of course that's important for many people. And it comes in a little pump like this, so it feels quite more hygienic than most lubricants, I think, also. And just in general, I think this is a great, great product and well worth a try. And I think the price is fine also. And then another product from them that I use pretty much every day is their Deodorant Gel. So this is a deodorant that is based on AHAs, mandelic acid. And so the idea with this is that you are not trying to keep yourself from sweating, and you are not trying to cover up the smell of the sweat, but rather this is supposed to be addressing the bacteria that are causing the odor. And I think that this works really, really well. I think that I do sweat fine, which is fine with me. I don't want to stop myself from sweating. I feel like after I put this on, I really don't feel like I'm wearing a deodorant at all, except that I'm not noticing any odor. So I think that that's really terrific. And as a side benefit with this product, it also will exfoliate your underarms. And so if you happen to have any kind of issues like little bumps or anything like that, then this might help to take care of that as well. And in general, I think that this is a very, very good product. The other product in this category that I have liked pretty much the same is the one from Kosas. I think that these are quite similar products, and I am perfectly happy with either of them. But since I can sometimes get some free stuff if I buy it from Necessaire, I have been buying this more often from them, mostly for that reason. And then another product that I have been using on a fairly regular basis for maybe a year now or so are the shampoo and the conditioner. These are their regular products, and they are unscented. And I keep a couple of different shampoos and conditioners in my shower, and then I kind of just rotate through them. And I think of the ones that I've been trying that I like these an awful lot. They are totally unscented. They do have some of the typical shampoo and conditioner ingredients in them, and I think that those have been okay for me, and that they don't have any extraneous problematic ingredients that have been bothersome to me. And I think that for the most part that these have been quite good and are among my favorite products that I use for my hair. And now for a couple of products that I do think are also pretty good. So the first one is their hand cream. And I think that I really like the Honest hand cream the most because I think it has more shea butter in it, and it is a little bit richer, and it does seem to be doing a really good job with my hands. But I think that this hand cream is also very nice. It does have some shea butter in it and some other moisturizing things. And it also has a whole bunch of peptides in it. And I think that when I first started using a lot of these Necessaire products with all these peptides in them, I was a little bit suspicious about whether the peptides actually did anything. But now that I've had a really good experience with the Augustinus Bader cream with the proprietary peptide in it, I think I'm a little more open to the idea that peptides might be worth paying a little bit of extra money for and doing something with. So I've been using this hand cream periodically, and I think it is not too bad. It doesn't have as much shea butter in it as I would kind of prefer, but if I soup it up by putting a little bit of a really high quality oil in it, like a few drops of like raspberry oil or strawberry seed oil, then I think that this is a very nice hand cream also. And then fairly similar to their hand cream is their body lotion. This body lotion is a little bit more creamy than the hand cream, I guess because when you put on hand cream, you don't want it to necessarily be really, really greasy because then you can't do as much with your hands. But I think that the body lotion is a little bit more creamy. And again, if I mix this with the serum, the body serum from the Necessaire, then I think this is a very nice mixture, and I have been using this fairly frequently. And I think that this is a fairly good price for a decent quality body cream that does have a lot of these peptides in it. Now the other product that I forgot to bring down with me is the Hand Retinol, And so in general, I don't use retinol on my face because I do feel that it's quite irritating for my face. And I also don't want my skin to become more sensitive to the sun. So I have totally skipped using retinol on my face. But over the winter, on occasion, I will put some retinol on my hands. And the reason for that, I think, is because my hands tend to get so much wax and build up type of dead skin cells on them that having some kind of exfoliator during the winter can be really helpful in allowing it to absorb oil and to stay hydrated and soft. And so sometimes I will use a physical exfoliant, and sometimes I will use something like an AHA type of an exfoliant. But I think that even using retinol in my hand occasionally during the winter months is not a bad thing, and that my hands have been able to tolerate that and to benefit from it when I don't do it too often. So this particular retinol cream has a moderate amount of retinol in it. It has 0.25%, so I guess that is not as low as it can go, but it's not so high that it's been irritating for my hands. And then in addition to the retinol, this also has some AHAs in it, and it also has some peptides in it and some sodium hyaluronate. So in general, it seems to me to be a kind of a good cocktail if you want to give some moisture to your hands and also to do some exfoliating. I wouldn't go overboard with it until you know how your hands are doing with it. But I think that if I don't use it too often during the winter, that my hands have been okay with it. And I don't really mind so much during the winter if my hands become more sensitive to sunlight, because usually I'm wearing gloves when I go outside anyway. And now for a couple of products that I have tried and that I don't think that I would purchase again. So one is called the Body Exfoliating Bar. And this is actually a very nice soap, just a general purpose type of a soap that I actually might use in the shower, except that it has a whole lot of big pieces of grit in it that are supposed to exfoliate the skin. And these are fairly large and fairly rough pieces of exfoliating matter. And the idea with this, I think, is that you're supposed to take it and you're supposed to kind of rub it into your skin. And that's not really the way that I use soap in the shower anyway. I usually like lather it up and then I just kind of brush it on my skin very gently. I'm not usually driving the soap into my skin. So that's one thing that's different. And I also don't really have room in my shower to put a couple of different bars of soap, because you're only supposed to use this exfoliating one like every several days or something. And in general, I don't think that my skin needs that much exfoliating. So I don't think that I would buy that one again, but I do think that if they were to sell a soap that was basically the same as that exfoliating soap, but that if it didn't have those exfoliating particles in it, or if they were just really small particles, then I actually might be interested in that, because I do think it's a very nice quality soap, and I do use bar soap on a regular basis. And then the next product that I tried is the Scalp Serum. So I do feel like my hair has become a little bit thinner, and then after I had COVID, I lost some hair, and I don't feel like I've grown that back, at least not entirely or not yet. And so I did experiment a little bit with this hair growth serum that you're supposed to put some of it on every day. And I think it's very similar to the Vegamour serum. It has an ingredient in it that is called caprixyl, I think it is. And this is a combination of peptides along with clover extract. And I am not sure if this has done anything for me at all. I don't think that I have noticeably started to grow any more hair, not even more little baby hairs. And so I'm not sure if if I would need to use it for longer. I only just bought that one bottle, and I would say that I'd spent a couple months using up that bottle, so maybe I wasn't using as much of it as I should have been using it. I also feel that when I put this on my scalp, it would just make a kind of a weird, like slightly tingly type of a feeling, and maybe that means that it's working, but I'm not sure that I like that much either, or feel that comfortable with it. So it has been my goal to work on trying some rosemary oil to see if my scalp likes that better, or if that works any better, so I may try that soon. And then speaking of the rosemary oil, I did buy the Necessaire shampoo and conditioner that are supposed to have rosemary oil in them because I thought that I would give this a try and because I had been so happy with their regular shampoo. And I was so confident that this would just have rosemary oil in it that I didn't even really look very hard at the ingredient list, and I just went ahead and ordered them. And what I realized when I tried it is that this actually has quite a bit of different fragrance in it, and it is definitely not just smelling like rosemary oil to me. It seems to have a number of different naturally processed fragrances in it, but then it also has an ingredient that is just called fragrance. And I haven't yet managed to get in touch with the company to ask them if this is natural fragrance or synthetic fragrance. But I think that in general, Necessaire seems to be moving more towards using synthetic fragrances in some of their products. So I'm not very happy about that in general, because one of the things that I really liked about their company in the past is that everything was either unscented or using natural fragrance. In a lot of cases, I would much prefer it to be unscented. But in this case, this is only available with this fragrance in it. And I only used this once, and then I think that it may have really irritated my skin, but I'm not absolutely sure. Maybe it was something else that irritated my skin. So I'm going to give this another try. But in general, just the fact that it just lists fragrance on the list is not making me real happy about it. And then they have a body wash, and the reason that I picked up this body wash is because it was part of a general kit. Usually I don't use body wash at all. I usually just use regular bar soap. But I did pick this up, and I used some of it in the shower for a while. And I thought that it was okay as body washes go, and when I look at the ingredient list, it doesn't look bad at all compared to a lot of body washes, which can have really problematic ingredients in them. And eventually I ended up using the last bottle just as a hand wash, and I thought that that worked out okay. I will probably either give this away to someone else. Maybe my husband will use it, and if not, I'll give it to somebody else. But I think that if you like body wash, this is not a bad product. I would just wish that they had more options in bar soap. And then a couple of products that I have not tried, but that I could imagine myself possibly using if I had them in hand. So the first thing is called the Body Peel, and this is a very, very strong AHA type of a product. Actually, it has AHA and BHA and PHA in it. And this is a really high strength, so I think it's definitely too strong for me to use even on my body. But I think that I conceivably could use a small amount of it and mix it into a moisturizer and just put it on my skin as a cocktail. And I think that that might be a nice thing to do in the winter months. And the reason that I'm a little bit attracted to this one is because I do think that the ingredients in this look okay to me, apart from not wanting to use a very strong amount of the hydroxy acids. And I do think that if you are a person that would like to use a hydroxy acid type of a preparation on your body, that could be a good one to choose, because I don't think it would be irritating if the particular amount of the hydroxy acid in there is not too strong for you. And then Necessaire also makes a Body Retinol, and that has a really low level of retinol. It's only 0.1%. And I think that the reason that the level of the retinol in there is so low is not because they wanted to put together a low dose amount of it to protect your skin, but I think it's rather because of the theory is that if you're going to put something all over your whole body, then you don't want the level to be too high, because otherwise the amount of vitamin A that you're getting could be too much. And so therefore I think that probably if I wanted to use a retinol product more on my body, that might not be too strong for me. So it might be appropriate. It is a little bit expensive, and I don't know that I need to be using retinol on my body. But I would be more willing to experiment with it on my body than I would be on my face. And especially during the winter months, I wouldn't necessarily mind doing that, especially on sort of rougher areas of my body, just to see how it worked out. Now, the product that I probably won't be using from them, even though I actually have a container of it, this is called the Body Exfoliator, and a lot of people actually do really like this product. And this, I think, won a Best of Beauty award from Allure at one point, so some of those review type people kind of like it. Now, the issue that I have with it is that this has an ingredient in it that is called cocamidopropyl betaine, and this is a surfactant, which is not necessarily a deal killer for me. But this particular surfactant tends to have some contamination in it that can be irritating. And so what people generally say is, well, if you don't leave it on your skin for too long and you rinse it off, it shouldn't be too bad and you should be okay with it. But that has not been what I have found to be the case at all. I have found that any kind of a face wash that I use that has that particular ingredient in it, it always is irritating to my skin, and that really I would need to use another kind of a face wash and to get it off of there for it not to be irritating, because if I just put it on my skin and then rinse it off right away, whatever traces are left from that almost always do irritate my skin. And so I wouldn't use this on my body either, because I think that it's probably just not something that my skin does well with, and that even though my body is not quite as sensitive as my face, I just don't think that I need to be putting this on my skin at all. Now, in addition, this particular product has a number of other pretty strong exfoliators in it. So it has pumice, which is a pretty rough exfoliator, and it also has glycolic acid, and it has salicylic acid, and I think that the concentrations are fairly high. So if you're really looking to do a major heavy-duty scrub of your body, then maybe this could be a really good product, particularly if you are not sensitive to those kinds of general purpose face washes. But for me, I find that I really need to be very careful about this kind of thing, so I think I'm going to have to give this away to somebody else. And then for people who actually have acne on their bodies, the Necessaire does make a couple of different products. That one is the Body Acne Wash, and then the other one is the Body Acne Solution. The Body Acne Wash, this again has the cocamidopropyl betaine in it, and so that would be a deal killer again for me. But in general, those are just not products that would be appropriate for me because I don't have that problem on my body. But if you do have body acne, then you could look into them, and those have zinc PCA in them in addition to the exfoliating type of products. And then several of their newer products, as I say, they have started sneaking synthetic fragrances into some of these products. So, for instance, there is one new product that they released, which is a bar soap, and it has hyaluronic acid in it, and I thought it would be just great, but then I looked carefully at the ingredient list, and it listed just fragrance, and it is supposed to be an oak moss fragrance, and I had to actually contact the company to ask them if this was a synthetic fragrance, and they said yes, but it won't bother you. It's a very mild fragrance, and it is a clean fragrance. And that is not something I've ever had any success with. Anytime anyone tells me that a product has a clean fragrance in it, but it's synthetic, I always do get my skin irritated, and I have very little doubt that this would also be irritating for me. So unfortunately, I can't use that product, and they're still not making a soap that would be appropriate for me, even though I'd be willing to pay a fair amount of money for their bar soaps, because I do think the quality of that soap that I used was quite nice if it didn't have those big rough particles in it. So I do think it's a little bit strange for Necessaire to be going in this direction. I think that the first years of their company, what they have done is offer an awfully lot of scent-free products, and they have attracted a lot of loyal customers that have been really happy that their products don't have scents in them. And maybe there aren't as many of those people out there as they would like, but I think that rather than abandoning those people that have been really loyal to the company and that want to buy a lot of things from them, and then chasing some other market of people that want synthetic fragrance, I think it would be good for them to continue to offer fragrance-free products, and then if they want to offer additional versions that have scents in them, then that's fine with me, but I just don't understand why they are offering bar soap and none of it is fragrance-free. So thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of the video. And if you have tried any products from Necessaire yet, then please let me know what you have thought of them. In addition, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, then I hope you will go ahead and do that. And Coco and I love you very much. So thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. Ba-da-ba-da-da-bum, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.